Good morning. We live in dark times. Election day did not stop the pandemic. New cases set record levels. A light switch did not turn darkness to light. At best, we are in the midst of a foggy dawn. A smoggy sunrise, a cloudy forecast leading to dark days. The elections shed light on something we already knew. We live in a house divided. Half of us cannot stand the other half. No result would have changed that fact. Many of us have spent 4 years reacting to outrageous facts: a Muslim ban, deregulation of safety and environmental concerns, racism, sexism, attacks on healthcare, hurricanes and wildfires. It has been overwhelming. 2020 brought a pandemic just in case we weren't stressed enough. Election years are like sprinting. People go full out until they reach the finish line. This year there was mud on the tracks. As the contestants were puffing out their chests, trying to break the tape, they stepped into quicksand and got buried up to their necks. The next 2 months will be a quagmire. Photo finishes will be taken from various angles, each claiming the truth, attacking each other's perspectives. In politics, each fight leads to the next fight. Among this nation's many addictions, first and foremost is our addiction to the adrenaline of anger. Competition is our cocaine. Win or lose, we're always looking for our next fix. Hopefully, spirituality is different from politics. It's true that our principles drive us to action. We struggle and strive to live our beliefs. But the race is not a sprint, but a marathon. Elections and protests are like hills. We have to push hard on occasion, but overall, we're in it for the long haul. And winning is not the only object. Think of a sprinting race. You have 10 people lining up side by side, and each person thinks they can win. In contrast, the Boston Marathon has 30,000 participants. About 1/2% are actually trying to win the race. Most are competing against themselves, trying for self-improvement. They are trying to prove something to themselves. They are running after a dream, persevering through pain, overcoming doubt, trying to become part of something larger than themselves. It takes longer to become a world-class marathoner. Usain Bolt hit the world sprint record at age 23. Eliud Kipchoge set the marathon record at 33, and last year's best time was set by a runner who was 37. Now, to many of us, these ages still seem young, but compared to most sports, peaking in your late 30s is late. Because a marathon requires mental maturity as well as athletic ability. This past year, we have repeatedly heard the gun go off, literally and figuratively. We've exploded from the blocks and ran as fast as we could, and now we are exhausted. Politics is about focusing and fixing on the problems immediately in front of us. Spirituality is about overall healing and wholeness. And before we can heal the whole world, we need to heal ourselves. Let us shift our focus from the quick fix and prepare ourselves for the long run. Think of things in the distance, the children of 2 generations hence. Include more people in your run. Focus on increasing participation. The best thing about this past election is the quantity of people voting. 160 million people turned out. The turnout rate was at 66.9%, the highest rate since 1900. The worst thing about this election was the quality of the turnout. It was a fearful electorate, voting against what they feared. Lack of health care or socialized medicine, illegal abortions or legal abortions, white supremacy versus multiculturalism. Fear leads to sprinting. One goal is running away as fast as you can, and the other goal is standing your ground and pointing a gun at someone so they run away. No matter the result, we still live in a fearful nation. Trust has been broken. How can it be restored? Before we demand it be restored in others, we must restore it in ourselves. It might be time for a news vacation. The big story has been told. Other people are paid to deal with the minutia. Let them do their job. Let them squab their squabbles. Let lawyers fight the fights, because that's what they're trained for. In the unlikely event that the election is reversed, we will still live in a divided nation. Let us not react to attacks, but rather stride towards our goals. Let others nitpick. Their resistance are merely stones in the path. Avoid them and keep moving forward. Stop sprinting and prepare for a marathon. Start small. Gather yourself in a calm space. Defocus from your fears and let them blur and fade into the distance. With those fears behind you, look into the future. Look to your highest aspirations. Celebrate how far you have come. You are the result of eons of evolution. All the people who have lived and died, the lost strains of humanity, your mother and your father who started you. You are a statistical anomaly. Of all the genetic possibilities, only one became the miracle that is you. You learned your first lessons of love, first from family, then from strangers. Some teachers taught us what love is, others taught us what love is not. We all have families of origin. We have families of choice. Wherever people live and love, a family is born. Surround yourself with whatever love you have been able to find in your family of origin or your family of choice. And our family is expanded when we work with others. We have political families, we have church families, kindred souls, wherever we share joy or work. These connections are how we develop purpose. Spiritual freedom is the bedrock beneath all of our explorations. Ethical action is the sacred stones that build our church home. We join with one another to wonder, to think, to feel. We gather and dream about what may be. Mary Oliver asks in one of her poems, can one be passionate about the just, the ideal, the sublime, and the holy, and yet commit to no labor in its cause? As soon as she asks, she answers, I don't think so. Likewise, the dreams we dream at church cry to us and call to us to make them real. Politics is the work of community. We make imperfect laws as signposts on the way to perfection. And when old laws fail, new laws are made. Every solution is flawed. But hopefully, we are learning. Honest debate strengthens the state. And by honest, I mean a dialogue that is seeking mutual solutions. Debating to win corrupts the process and devolves into bullying. Coercion suffocates cooperation. The force of law cannot transform people. Martin Luther King Jr. marched for civil rights. And people criticized him and said, you can't legislate morality. And he agreed, writing, while it may be true that morality cannot be legislated, behavior can be regulated. It may be true that law cannot change the heart, but it can restrain the heartless. King was familiar with the book of Jeremiah, which states, I will put my law within them. I will write it on their hearts, and I will be their God, and they will be my people. But he also knew we do not live in that day. Jesus spoke of the new covenant, which is simply to love one another. People who have empathy have the law of love written on their hearts. All of us experience times where we did not have to be told what to do. We just knew, and we acted with empathy. So far, I have not murdered anyone. And I don't think it's the law that has checked my behavior. I don't even know if I'm in a death penalty state or not. Fear of punishment doesn't keep me from murdering people. Thankfully, in all my anger, I have never felt the compulsion to kill. I'm not saying that it's never crossed my mind, but so far, something in me, something written in my heart, has stopped me, and I hope it continues to do so. Other laws are not written on my heart. I break the speed limit. This could result in someone's death. If my empathy was to such a level where the law was written on my heart, I would always drive with the utmost care for all the others on the road. Oftentimes I joke, did that person call me and ask permission to drive today? Why are they in my way? I lose empathy for them as human beings because they are merely obstacles. Traffic laws are not written on my heart. I long for the day of global empathy, where we share our resources and resist war and greed. Until that day, I remind myself of the law of love. Am I acting out of love or hate? Some of us feel unbridled joy at the election results. But I know my niece and my nephew posted that yesterday or earlier this week was a sad day. I have a right to be happy, but I don't have a right to gloat. As a child, I was taught sportsmanship. I was told not to be a sore loser, not to complain about the ref, but it's just as important to not be a poor winner. Humiliating opponents is not helpful. Being called a libtard and a snowflake did not change my views in 2016. And calling someone a stupid loser does not teach them empathy. We want people to wear masks because they have empathy and do not want to spread disease. We have the right to protect spaces from those who encourage infection. We have to somehow let people know that we do not make mask laws to punish people. We are making laws because we want them to be healthy and whole. Love is better than hate. Any way we participate in love is always better than hate. Let love be our motivation through all the struggles that face us in the coming years. Laws may need to be enforced for those who refuse to understand, but we must continually offer the chance for redemption. Even those who are in prison deserve basic human rights of food, shelter, health care. And may we build a world where people have the right to health care who have not broken any laws and who are just trying to make it on their own. Let love be our motivation. Forgiveness does not mean that people face no consequences for their behaviors. It simply means we do not forget the humanity of our opponents to those enemies of the good. Love seeks what is best for all. Spread love, not fear. Build upon the strength of love. This will promote healing. Let us exercise our compassion so that we may have the strength to love. May we bless and be blessed. Gail and I have written another hymn. Love is better than hate. Please join in singing at home.